So the Clippers got their act together, beat the Mavs in 6 games. Luka was, of course, fantastic. The question is now, what is next for this Dallas team? Well, I do want to start with Luka a bit. The only thing to really look at with him is the three-point shooting and the free throws. Hopefully he just figures those out a little bit, whether it's a form adjustment, whether it's maybe not taking as many step-back threes as he does. I guess if you wanted to find something else, it would be his defense, but given his size and effort, I think he is basically a neutral defender, so it's fine. If we talk about the team as a whole, I think next season is not as exciting in terms of big roster moves, in my opinion. I mean, maybe it could be, but I don't really think so. I think 2 years from now is when it could be big, because that's when the Mavs have cap space after next season. And, I mean, there's Giannis, Drew Holiday's got a player option, there's Victor Oladipo, there's Gordon Hayward, there's a decent amount of guys. And I think Dallas is certainly going to go for someone. And if we're going to see a second star next to Luka, or a third star on this team, I should say, we'll talk about Porzingis in a second, it's probably going to come after next season. Now, maybe they could pull some sort of a trade out, and we can talk about all that. But as far as where this team sits in the Western Conference next year, of course we're going to need a healthy Porzingis. I mean, these guys had the best offense of all time, and Porzingis probably wasn't 100% the whole season, basically. So you'd think with Porzingis out there, and with him and Kleba, which is a 5-out, or him and Dwight Powell, which is 1 in and 4 out, that this team can still be really, really good on offense and probably still the best offensive team in the league. But we need Porzingis out there. I mean, he's had a series of lower body injuries, ACL, meniscus, had him out for most of the Clippers series. So we're just going to have to hope he's out there. I mean, they gave him a max contract. They traded 2 picks to get him. So that's that. As far as the team itself, I mean, they found a lot of different ways to lose close games this season. I mean, they, of course, didn't have Luka for a stretch, and that didn't help them out, but they just lost, I think, like 12 or 13 games by within 2 or 3 points, or 4 or 5 points, whatever you will. So if you clean that stuff up, then this team could see a big improvement with its wins just without even doing anything crazy to the roster. I mean, as far as what it could be, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't watching every single close Mavs game like that, but, you know, whether it's being a little better at not fouling, not turning the ball over, shot selection late in games, whatever it may be, you know. If I try to think of their place in the Western Conference next season, I mean, Golden State's going to be back there. The Lakers and the Clippers are still going to be up top. The Blazers will be healthy and back in the mix. You got Houston. It's going to be tough, but I would imagine if Dallas can still be an elite offense, which I think they can be, and then they find a way defensively, and they could beef up their defense a little bit, and we'll talk about that, then, yeah, I think they're going to be right in there in the West. I think the goal for next year is just don't be the 7th seed, or maybe even don't be the 6th seed. I don't totally know how good Golden State's going to be next year, but they're definitely going to be in there. But, you know, I look at it, if the Mavs would have gotten the Jazz, Thunder, Rockets, or Nuggets in round 1, I think they could have won any of those series. Not saying it would have been a guarantee or anything, but given how much of a fight they gave the Clippers without Porzingis for most of the series, and of course the suspension in Game 1, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, part of me still believes that if Porzingis plays the whole series, they beat the Clippers. So, anyway. If we talk about now additions to this team in this offseason, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be anything more than like Jay Crowder, because they can't trade their pick, because next year is owed to the Knicks, unless, of course, they draft a guy and then immediately trade him. They could look to trade picks in the distant future, because a lot of their picks in the short term are locked up in the Knicks trade protections. So you could do that. You know, you could trade a pick in like 2026 or something, but do you really want to do that? I don't know about that one. Anyway, they might just sign Jay Crowder. I mean, I saw a thing about how they're wanting to get some guys who are tougher, and yeah, Crowder probably fits the boat there, and you hope he can make some open shots for you. Could they really be in the running for Jeremy Grant or whoever? I don't know. I mean, they got about $7 million in cap space right now if the cap doesn't go down. The mid-level's about 9. It's, I don't know. It's nothing too wild. Again, I think the big roster move will probably come after next year when they have real cap space and the 2021 free agency class is supposed to be really, really good. I mentioned Oladipo earlier. His situation is interesting in Indiana, of course. Paul George has a player option, and if Paul George has proven anything, it's he can be swayed to a team. But we're a little ways away from that, so I don't want to dive into that stuff too much. Is there a chance that Dallas could take more of a swing this offseason with somebody? I mean, maybe. I just don't really know what the asset is. I mean, I guess, again, they could select someone with the 18th pick and then immediately send him off to some other team. And if you pair that up with Tim Hardaway or even somebody like a DeLon Wright or whoever, could you get somebody? Yeah, maybe. But I don't know if there's some perfect trade candidate out there for Dallas right now. I feel like the one dude I keep trying to trade is Harrison Barnes, and I don't know, there's not an obvious move. The way that Dallas could have made a big move was using Courtney Lee's expiring, but they never did it, so yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like Dallas is just going to run it back with basically the same team with maybe one or two small additions, and you just kind of ride it out that way. I mean, do I think you could get someone if you traded like Tim Hardaway and Dwight Powell or Maxi Kleber? Potentially. I mean, those are two solid players that some other team could be interested in, but what's the move? I think I mentioned Drew Holiday earlier, and I think a guy like Drew would be great for this Dallas team. Somebody who could take some of the ball handling pressure off of Luka, give him some defense. But if the Pelicans wanted to move him, which I don't think they should, but if they wanted to, I don't know if Dallas would really have the best offer. I think other teams would be able to give them more. I guess one kind of outside the box one, Kyle Lowry. I mean, he's got 1 year left with the Raptors, and there's a chance that they would want to transition into some other thing. Now, if I was them, I would just want to hold on to Lowry, but if he was really available, I think he would be a great guy for Dallas to target. But again, because their draft picks are locked up in protections and all that, it's just kind of tough for there to really be a move unless you're just giving another team some players. So, yeah, I guess we could talk about the draft pick a little bit. Now, again, there's no guarantee that they do use this pick. Dallas has a history of trading their first-round picks. So, again, if they're going to make some sort of a move, you could select a guy and then trade him to somebody else. But if they're actually going to take someone and hope that that guy can be good, then they've got some options. Dallas has got the 18th pick. It will be interesting to see the route they want to go with that, because if they want to pick another guy who can just play off of Luka and play some defense and be another Dorian Finney-Smith type of wing, then the options are definitely there. There's Josh Green, there's Sadiq Bey, there's my guy Aaron Nesmith, who I mentioned in every one of these, and if the Celtics let him go, I'm going to be a bit upset. But there's also a chance that Dallas could look to get someone who could be a bit more of a creator. Now, they do still have Jalen Brunson, who had a bit of a stagnant second season compared to his rookie year, but I think he can still be good. But even then, he's 6'1". He might just be another Carlisle point guard guy who's good for them, but is not a huge difference maker like that. I don't think we should expect Tim Hardaway Jr. to be some new player anytime soon. He's 28. He basically is what he is, which is fine. There's RJ Hampton, who I think was a little more exciting earlier on, but now he's kind of fallen in the draft a little bit. But he can do something off the dribble. There's Kyra Lewis. There's Patrick Williams, who he's out of Florida State. His numbers are not great, but he, big guy, 6'8", 6'11" wingspan, 220-something pounds. And he's supposed to be a bit of a shot creator. Like, he might be a guy who can set a lot of screens and make shots for you and hopefully do enough off the dribble. So they definitely got some options. There's a Desmond Bane, who is supposed to be more of a play off the ball, kind of fit into the team sort of dude. We'll just have to see what they want to do. I mean, I think it's fair to want a little bit more shot creation outside of Luka, but it also makes a lot of sense to just draft another guy who can help them out defensively and make some shots for them and all that stuff. So, again, I think next season the goal for this team should probably be like the 4th seed, which they can get through just cleaning up some of the bad things they did at the end of regular season games this year. And you hopefully get like one okay guy in free agency, like a Jay Crowder type, and then you hopefully get the pick right. Maybe there's some sort of move that can happen, I don't know. You hope Porzingis is healthy, and then you make your real swing after next season in free agency.